We're going to talk about troubleshooting your commercial water treatment equipment. And the first thing we'll take a look at is misapplication, which can be a major issue. If the wrong type of equipment is installed, then the customer will be unhappy with the water quality, and water can be wasted and salt can be wasted. To prevent this from happening, we need to reflect back upon what we talked about during the sizing portion of the program. We also want to make sure there is adequate water to backwash a filter. If there's not enough water, then debris is going to slowly accumulate in the tank, which will end up in excessive pressure loss and poor water quality. So that needs to be confirmed ahead of time. Again, reflecting back upon sizing to help prevent this from happening. We also want to make sure that the correct type of equipment has been installed and the correct size. Again, a lot of this goes back to the sizing portion of the program. Over the years, I've seen some misapplied equipment. Let me share one of my favorites with you. I got a call from a job site. They were troubleshooting. They said the softener didn't look like it was right. It was a 3/4 cubic foot, 3/4 inch residential softener that they were getting ready to cut into a 2-inch main at a high school. Again, they said it didn't quite look right, so fortunately they called me. Come to find out, the engineer on the job had taken the school's monthly water bill, divided it by 31 to get average gallons per day, divided by 24, divided by 60 to get down to an average gallon per minute of less than 3 gallons per minute. Obviously, that is not a valid way to size a school job, but things like this can happen. So back to the sizing. But after equipment's installed, let's take a look at more troubleshooting things that you may get involved with. Probably the most common one is on a water softener where resin is being lost down the drain. Now you know this is occurring because you can either see the resin in the drain or you'll notice the level is dropping down. Most times this is a result of air getting sucked in during brine draw after the air check is seated in the bottom of the brine tank. That air will slowly accumulate in the top of the resin tank. Then when the unit goes into its next backwash and rinse, the bed lifts excessively and some of that media gets expelled out the drain. Obviously, this is a bad thing to happen, and it is extremely common. So we need to make certain that the brine connections are tightened per the spec in the instruction manual. If, however, media is being lost to service, you'll usually start out with seeing gravel and then media. That's a sign of a catastrophic failure down in the bottom of the tank. Something's happened to a lateral. That's why we stress in the instructions that before you fill the tank, you look down in with a flashlight, make sure all the lateral sections are present, plug that center distributor tube, fill the tank about 1/3 full of water, and then very carefully pour in the gravel, then pour in the media. And the media may come in different size buckets, but it's all the same media inside those buckets. After all the media is in the tank, then take that garden hose and fill the tank clear to the top with water before you thread in the control valve. That will make startup go a whole lot easier because you're not going to have to contend with excessive air. Other obvious troubleshooting things that are easy to overlook, but is there salt in the brine tank? It does happen. And are the bypasses possibly open that's allowing hard water to bleed around the system? And is the programming correct? You'll want to check and make sure that all the drop settings are correct. Other things to check for if you're getting hard water bleed would be the meter turbine itself. Every now and then a little piece of Teflon tape will break off from inside the plumbing and get wrapped around that turbine wheel, preventing it from spinning, so the control valve doesn't know water's being used. So you might have to open up and inspect the turbine wheel. And the other thing is that the venturi nozzle and the brine line flow control are rather small openings. Any debris that might be in the system can plug those, which will prevent salt from being pulled out of from brine from being pulled out of the brine tank, so you won't be regenerating. These are some of the most obvious things we see for troubleshooting.